Meantime, Delaware is one of the 5 key states that will be holding their primary next Tuesday. Well, joining me now, townhall.com political editor and Fox News contributor Guy Benson and staff writer for the Washington Free Beacon, Elizabeth Harrington. And let's take a look. Let's start with these Fox News polls that are out. I mean, you're looking at out in California, for heaven's sakes. Guy, let's start with you. That is, and I'm an old Californian, I find that to be pretty amazing. What do you think?
Well, these are really good poll numbers for Donald Trump coming out tonight from Fox News. Both in California, a 27-point lead for Donald Trump, lapping the field, and also, crucially, in Indiana, where there has been a dearth of public polling. He's up 8 on Ted Cruz in that state. And the reason why I think the Indiana poll is particularly important tonight is that we saw this week a big win in New York, as expected for Donald Trump. We're expecting Donald Trump to again sweep and do very well next Tuesday in these northeastern blue states. Ted Cruz really needs to stop the bleeding and win Indiana. It's a state where he should be on some level, on paper, well situated. If he's down 8 points to Donald Trump in Indiana, there is real trouble in the Cruz campaign. Yeah,
and Elizabeth, I thought that the way it was, and to Guy's point about the fact there has been a dearth of some polling in Indiana, but it was kind of widely talked about the fact that that was kind of one that Ted Cruz was expecting to win.
Sure. I think lots of people assumed Indiana, the demographics are similar to other states that Cruz has won, and lots of people were hoping in the so-called Never Trump camp that Cruz would have a victory there, and that would be able to prevent Trump from getting that magic 1237 number. But what these polls are showing is that doesn't look to be the case right now. I mean, Trump has a pretty comfortable 8-point lead there. And let's face it, I mean, if he wins Indiana, this race is pretty much over. He may not necessarily get all the way to 1237, but he'll be close enough. And all those unbound delegates that will be left for the picking for Trump to try to sell on a deal, he's likely to get some of those and push him over the top.
Yeah. Guy, do you feel good about this, the accuracy, because of the fact that if you're talking about the next 5 states on Tuesday, and then you throw in Indiana, and then you throw California, and we're only about 6 weeks away from the end of this primary process. I mean, momentum may be something that would be very hard for Ted Cruz to overcome.
Yeah, and there's been this argument that this is not really a momentum race because Ted Cruz won that crushing victory in Wisconsin, then went on and racked up delegates in a number of states like Colorado and North Dakota and elsewhere earlier this month, and then Donald Trump waltzed into New York and just cleaned up. I think that if you start to see the cascade of week after week after week, Tuesday after Tuesday after Tuesday, wins for Trump, especially if he sort of breaks Cruz's back in Indiana, that could be all she wrote, particularly if those numbers out of California are accurate or close to accurate, because we've heard a lot about Cruz's ground game being much stronger than Trump's in California. Yes. I'm confident that's true. But ground game can only compensate so much. If you're down 25 points, you're not going to win the lion's share or even any substantial number of delegates there. And Trump could, at these numbers, get to 1237 before Cleveland.
Elizabeth, very quickly, is this the time when we're starting to hear buzz about the candidates, both Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, starting to talk about their vice presidential running mates, members of their cabinet? Is that a technique that will maybe help them in their campaigns?
I mean, I think it will be a little absurd if Cruz or Kasich announce their running mate before the convention when both of them have mathematically been eliminated to get it on the first ballot. I mean, it could be a tactic to try to shore up delegates for the second ballot if it comes to a contested convention. But, I mean, it would really just be to take attention away from Trump at that point.
So too soon. All right. Thank you. Guy Benson, Elizabeth Harrington, good to see you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
You bet.
You too. Meantime,